everyone is okay with that. So Anthony, is the meeting being recorded? Can you see?
Yep, it is being recorded.
It is being recorded, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thanks. All right, so workshop H, and once again, thank you for joining me here. The reason all of you have signed up for this workshop shows me that we all are interested in rediscovering ourselves, our abilities, the skills we have as teachers, pre-pandemic or even more so post-pandemic, right? And that's the reason this workshop has very aptly been named as I Do Enough, I Have Enough, I Am Enough. So without further ado, let's begin. So teaching and learning in the past 2 years has been a rather tumultuous experience, right? And I'm sure many of you will agree with me. But the lessons we learned in these 2 years or more, they are going to stay with us for a long time, right? I'm sure many of us, may even have had similar experiences, right? And we'll talk a little bit more about that. I still remember in the early months of 2020 when we all were thrown into fully online teaching mode. It was, like a roller coaster ride for some of us, maybe. I definitely thought it was a roller coaster ride for me. So, we were thrown into lockdowns and we had to quickly adapt to online learning because some of us were doing it partially, but not fully, right? So that's why I say we all may have had similar experiences. We all relied highly on technology, tech tools, Web 2.0 tools, online platforms, virtual meetings, and so on, right? So I want to get to know you a little bit more and, what kind of tech tools or platforms you used in your classrooms for teaching, right? And even do so now, right? So if you could, I hope you have a mobile phone handy, and thanks to COVID, we all have QR code scanners on our phones. If you could scan the QR code, which is shown on your slide, I would like to ask you, what are the 3 or 5 top tech tools or platforms that you use in your teaching? So you can answer as many times as you like, but I would like to know what is your top 3 to 5 tech tools or platforms that you use for your teaching. So please take a few minutes to answer this question. Lots of users of Google Classroom, Kahoot, and Canva. That's interesting. I relate to many of these answers here because I use Padlet extensively, Microsoft Teams definitely. I use Microsoft PowerPoint, actually all Microsoft Office 365 products. So yeah, I relate. Okay, so one thing which I don't use is Canva. So, and I thought Canva was a paid feature. So that's, and I haven't explored it enough. So maybe I don't know much about it, but thank you so much for your answers. All right. So it gives me an idea that we all have had similar experiences and we all have had to rely heavily on technology, right? In the pandemic, in the times of the pandemic. But now post-pandemic also, these practices remain with us, right? For our teaching and learning. Okay, so moving forward, thank you so much for your answers. Now, I would like to talk a little bit about my experience going back into the physical classroom this year, right? So fully, we went back into the physical classrooms beginning this year. That was 100% when we had face-to-face classes. More students were coming back to university campus, and life started to seem like getting back to the old normal, right? Not the new normal. So it was a nice change. It was a sigh of relief. I was teaching two different subjects. The subject was the same, but it's offered in different credit courses. So I was teaching communication skills to undergraduate degree students at Sunway University. Now, I would like to give you a little bit of background about this subject, and so that you understand what the subject and the assignments involve. It's a compulsory university subject, which means students cannot graduate if they don't pass this subject. So it's a compulsory subject. It's a skills-based course. There's a fair amount of theory which is taught in the subjects, and it's fully coursework. So we had to change the style of this course when we went into lockdown for the very first time. So we removed the final exams and we made it into a completely coursework-based course, which meant there were 4 assignments. There were 2 individual assignments and 1 group work and 1 pair work, right? And there's a fair amount of theory which is taught in this subject. I use the flipped classroom approach in my teaching, and as you will be well aware, flipped classroom approach has become a popular pedagogy among the educational institutions around the world, and more so at Sunway University also. I had been using the flipped classroom approach even before 2020, but fully immersed in it, once the pandemic hit and we went fully online, right? So the basic notion of this approach is, as you can see on the slide, lessons are delivered through videos which are shared online, pre-recorded videos, right? And why we do that is so that the class time, I can use the class time to, for more active learning strategies, for more problem solving activities and such. So the class time is free for all these things, and also individual feedback or assistance which the students may require. My subject, the way we designed it in a way so that the lectures, because we deliver our subject through lectures and tutorials. So the lectures, we decided that they will remain fully online, whether we decided to do it synchronously or asynchronously. And the tutorials were hybrid. Why? Because I was going to the physical classroom for tutorials. So we had face-to-face classes with the students, but there were some students who had not come back from their home countries or home cities, and many students were not attending classes because of various COVID-related reasons, right? So this is just to give you an idea like what was happening in my subject. Now, flipped classroom approach enables me to spend more time on, student-centered instructions. There's group discussions, there's individual assistance provided to the learners, there's feedback and all that. And for those of you who attended, just like me, for those of you who attended the feedback literacy session just before this workshop, will agree that how important feedback is, right? So I was devoting my face-to-face class time for those activities. Now, although lessons were delivered online for lectures, tutorials had to be face-to-face, right? So that's when I, you know, experienced this, what I'm going to share with you. So just to give you an idea, I have shared a tutorial plan on the slide with you. And this is when I went to the classroom. So I use Microsoft Teams as a learning management system, as LMS for my teaching. And I use it because, I love Microsoft Office 365 products. Microsoft Teams allows me to have constant chat with the students. I can hold live meetings and record those meetings, and students always have access to them. But another cool feature of Microsoft Teams is where I can post weekly plans on the channels. So what you see here on the slide is one example of my real tutorial plan. And you can see I would, just paste a table like this. Post a table like this where there are steps given, and also the how much of time I'm going to spend on these activities. So there's step one, and in the step one, as you can see, there is some briefing about assignment 2. And the assignment 2 is a personal interest speech with the students present. So I wanted to do briefing for that. And because I'm seeing students face to face, it's very good to brief the students at that time, because they can clarify their questions. Now, please keep in mind that there are students who are logged on a Microsoft Teams meeting online, right? So I have students with me in front of me in the classroom, and I also have students logged online on Microsoft Teams meeting. So I have to stand really close to the camera of my laptop because it's facing towards me, and I want the students to be able to hear me clearly who are online. And I have to be loud enough so the students who are in front of me also can engage with me and interact with me. So my plan for this day was, number one, it was this briefing. Number two, it was an activity. So, you can see there's some active learning strategy here, right? I wanted them to read a case study, and I had posted this case study as a PDF already in my weekly plan. And this was on verbal and nonverbal communication. I hope you don't mind me going on and on about my activity, but this is where I'm going to come to, like, what we want to talk about today. So I wanted them to read the case study, and the students who were online, they were reading the case study on their own. But when I saw students in my classroom in front of me, they asked me, "Miss, so should we read the case study?" And I said, yes, that's step 2. It's in the plan. Now, the students who were in front of me face to face, it did not make sense for me to guide them to the weekly plan, even though I had posted it already. So I told, and I had already taken copies of this printed case study to the classroom, because for some unknown reason, I thought I might need it. And luckily enough, I took those case studies with me. So, so the students started reading the case study in the sheets of paper that I provided to them. And the students who were online, they read the case study on Microsoft Teams, right? They had the PDF with them. Now, what they were supposed to do is they had questions in the case study, and they had to answer the questions. And again, I had a very interesting question from the floor, which made me think as a teacher, like, wait a minute, what am I doing? So one student, actually more than, one student, then they asked me, Miss, I have to work with a partner? I said, yes, that's what the step says, right? So I saw that there was a lot of confusion. And then they said, Miss, we should post the answer on the Padlet page. And the links I had already provided in the weekly plan. And this was a practice which I had been doing for my lecture activities, because, I would send them online videos, and I would post a Padlet link. I would post a Microsoft Office Forms quiz on, my lecture weekly plan. And they had to do those activities. So they asked me, Miss, should we post this on Padlet? And that's when I realized that, wait, Neera, you need to make a change because these students are in front of me. So, and I want them to work with a partner, right? So this was a really turning point in my, that teaching experience for that week. What I saw was there was a lot of, there was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of uncertainty. There was a lot of hesitation because we were still, following the SOPs by the government and the university. There were face covering. We all were wearing face masks. We were still practicing social distancing. So I saw there was a lot of confusion. My students were confused. And then I decided as a teacher, I said, you know what? Okay, first of all, you find a partner. And I heard there were murmurs and they were whispering. Students are whispering to each other. They are unsure what to do. So because they were hesitant to go and find a partner and sit next to them because they were really far away. The tables were placed really far away in the university classrooms. Then I asked them, I said, do you guys go to the cafeteria and eat together? They said yes. I said, do you sit and have a drink sometimes together, or do you go outside the university? Do you go to cafes, restaurants? And they said yes. I said, I'm sure you are discussing for other assignments, for other subjects also. And they said yes. I said, okay, great. Similarly, I want you to find a partner right now. Please keep your face masks on, maintain your social distancing, but find a partner and sit with them. And then they started to move around. They got up, they took a chair, they sat at another table with another partner. So in a few minutes, everybody found a partner. Some people were in groups of 3, some people were in pairs. Now, what's happening in the Teams meeting? So students in the chat, I'm projecting the Microsoft Teams meeting on the screen. There's projector in the room, right? So the chat is visible to me also. So I'm looking at the chat and the students have found pairs to work with, or some were in groups of 3. So in a matter of few minutes, everybody had found a partner. So step 1 was done, right? Find a partner. I had already handed out the case study in sheets of paper and they were reading the case study. And then they had to write out the answers. So the students who were online, they were quite clear what they had to do. They knew they had to write the answer and post it on the Padlet page links that I had posted. Now the students who were in front of me in the classroom, they had hesitation again. They didn't know what to do. They were like, so miss, do we discuss and then post the answer to Padlet? And that's when I thought about this activity going on in front of me. And I'm like, I want students to practice, apply what they have learned from my video, which I shared with them in the lecture. So I said, you know what? And again, as you know, how resourceful we are as teachers. I had already taken sheets of mahjong paper, art block, and markers to class. So I handed these markers and mahjong paper to my students, and I said, no, you write on this paper, you know. And so this is the point where, you know, I found that I related so much to what reflection means as a teacher, you know, and more so how reflection on action as proposed by Schoon, right, 1983, 1987. So I found myself reflecting on the activity that was going on in front of me. Although reflection is a term that was used by Dewey, but in the recent interest in reflection was stimulated by Schoon, 1983, right? So this I could relate very much to what Schoon proposes. Now, he has highlighted the value of reflection in educators to learn and improve their practices. And this ongoing process of reflection, right, is crucial for building knowledge. If we increase this knowledge about our ability to use reflection effectively, it helps us to develop as a teacher. So this mental activity that teachers do, as they think in teaching situations. And that's exactly what was happening in my classroom at that time. So that's why I wanted to bring your attention to this particular point. So what was the result? The result was students started writing on this piece of paper, something very common, which we used to do before the pandemic hit us. Our classrooms had a lot of pair work, group work activities. Students would be working together, writing together. What else was important was I could give individual assistance. Feedback could be given instantly. Students could clarify their doubts. And so the result was, it was a very, it started as a hesitation or uncertainty or confusion. It actually gave me the results that I hoped for. And you can see, my students, these are my actual students photographed from that very lecture. And I had very happy students, and they were really happy, so thrilled to be able to write on paper because, they've been working just like us. They had been working from behind the screen for all those months in the 2 years of the pandemic. So the result is in front of you, and this is what happened in my classroom. And this is what gives me, gave me the idea of what is my role as a teacher. At the end of the day, this is what we did because I did not want to lose the students' work, right? So you can see all these answers. I uploaded, I told the students, you can upload the pictures to the Padlet page. You don't have to rewrite it because they've already worked with a partner. So they posted the pictures of the Mahjong sheets of paper. And these are from the students who were working online. So they just posted their answers onto the Padlet page. So that was a result, yeah. So this brought me to the realization that yes, there's technology. Yes, there are platforms. Yes, there are so many Web 2.0 tools for us to use and apply in our, teaching and learning. But at the end of the day, I am in control. And my role is, it is to facilitate. I can group students how I want to. I can assign tasks to them, and I can think of these tasks on the spot, even if I don't have a plan, right? I can adapt according to the situation. My role as an educator, I can encourage my students and give apt feedback, appropriate feedback, right? And make them value what I learned from the previous session, make them value the feedback that they get, right? And also clarify if they have any doubts. I'm sure you all, or maybe some of you will agree with me when I say this here, right? So based on my experience, after listening to my rather long story, I want you to take a few moments to think, if we don't think about the technology, if we don't think about the virtual platforms, the Web 2.0 tools, what do we have as teachers? What skills, what abilities do we have that we think we need the most in our classroom teaching? So maybe think about it for a few minutes. After having gone through 2 years of fully online teaching and learning, today when we go back into our classrooms in a post-pandemic world, yes, the Web 2.0 tools are there to help us. Yes, the virtual platforms are there to help us. And we use them even now, right, in our classrooms. But apart from that, what are the skills? Because this is where I want to learn from you. So you can post as many answers you like. Thank you. I can see one answer is up already. So please take some time and share with all of us. And these are skills we already have. It's just a matter of re-identifying those skills, rediscovering ourselves. Thank you, Cien. Are you able to join Slido?
Yeah, in a minute. Sorry, I thought that I need to post that in the chat.
That's okay. It'll be nice to save all the responses. So that's why I asked.
Sure.
Please take any amount of time you'd like. Thanks. You can answer as many times as you like. This will help all of us. I think everybody's done. Thank you so much for sharing your great insights with us. I should wait, maybe, let's wait a couple more minutes. Awesome. Thank you so much. Now, all of us can see that, there's no technology involved here, right? Because that was the focus of the question. So very natural, very human qualities I see in the answers here right now, right? Always listen, no interruption, communication skills. I like how clear instructions, lesson planning, creating collaboration is a very popular answer from all the participants here. And very human qualities like patience and, praising our learners. Clear instructions are very clear. So clear instructions are very, they're very important. There's time management, allow more time. Yeah, so patience comes into. So, and these are not things that we need to learn anymore. We already know these things and we have years of experience. So, since activities which are designed around technology sometimes tend to be timed, in the classroom, when we face our students face to face, we are not bound by those limits. So by those limiting things. So that's interesting. Okay, thank you so much for sharing your answers. So effective teaching and effective learning, right? So they're mirrors of each other. Effective teaching is reflection of effective learning, and vice versa, right? Sometimes we teach what the students want to learn, but it can be the other way around. Sometimes we design our teaching after what we have taught and what we have learned from that activity. And again, reflection comes into picture there. So now maybe at this point, I am going to stop sharing my slides, and this will be a time for discussion, and you could also answer in the chat box. I'm going to stop sharing slides here. So what do we need in a post-pandemic world? Please share your insights with me because it's a learning time for me as well. So what do we need going back into classrooms in a post-pandemic world? Please share. Apart from what you've already mentioned, what skills and abilities do we need? Yeah, understanding our students. Yeah, sharing skill, life experience. Yeah. Yes, that also, huh? Can't forget all that, right? Their handwriting, their spelling, yeah, vocabulary building, right? It's so important, right? I hear this very often, and I find myself sharing my life experiences, my life lessons very often. Why is it so important? Why do you think it is so important? How does it help our learners?
Hi Neera, hi everyone. Sorry. So that's me who posted that, sharing skills of life experience that we had to our students. I think that is very, very important and very I believe that that would also bring students to be more engaged with us as a person, since we are all people who are alive, who who also have different, life stories that we could share. And that is one of the bridges that we could have with our students, since we have been apart from them for such a long time. So that is also what I usually did whenever I met my students on site, I mean with me face to face. And there is also a gap between us that has made us apart for such a long time and distance. And I believe when we could present or when we could share our life stories, daily life stories that we had experienced, that could also give our students like hints, yeah, for them to also probably find solutions whenever they also face problems as what we experience, that we share also to our students. They could find hints and clues, yeah. Because whenever when they learned online, most of the time they should find solutions all by themselves, right? But when we shared some of our life stories, struggles that we had as well as teachers, that could also help them motivate them.
Sure. Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm sure we all can relate to what you said just now. Really nice. I find myself, and when I receive student feedback at the end of the semester, some of them mention, Miss Neera gives us real life examples, and that helps us to understand the concepts better, because I teach communication skills. and which is such a practical topic, right? So, and I always give them examples in the context of me and my husband, or me and my children, or with my bosses, and they find it useful. So yes. Jolene says, be mindful of students' general well-being as well, not just academic performance. This pandemic has been difficult for us, but yes, yes. So I see a lot of human qualities are required. We need to, that's what I meant, that, we do enough, we have enough, we are enough, because we are human. Maybe it just needs, we need to remind ourselves once again. And yes, because we have relied so much of technology. And please don't get me wrong, I use technology extensively in my teaching and learning, and also training. It's not that I shy away from technology, but coming back to the roots, right? So especially in the comments which I'm seeing in the chat box, I'm so happy to learn that all of you feel the same. Let's have more answers, please. Please feel free to unmute your audio and talk to us also. That's fine too. Siu Hong said personalization. Would you like to elaborate a little bit, Siu Hong, please?
Good morning, all. Because I feel that when we tell them and share with them our experience, they will kind of feeling that you are telling us interesting story of your own experience, which maybe my parents will encounter the same experience, and then they told us before. So for the same age like you, Madam Chin, they will have the same you have the same kind of feeling like my parents, something like that, or my auntie. And then once I bring out my own story, they will share their story as well, as they not their own experience, because I'm teaching junior 1 and 2. They are still too young, but then they relate to what their relative, their parents, their friends, fathers and mothers told them. So it means they relate and listen to what the adult had already told them, and then they can still remember and share it with their classmates during the lessons. I think this is a very good sharing, especially when unconsciously they will fly away with the fear that they are speaking in front of the whole class, because they are telling story. They are so naturally delivered their message and share. Then after the sharing, they will find that, hey, I can speak in front of my whole class. Unconsciously. That's what I felt, the beauty of giving more time to the students, not to rush the lesson in a short while, and then let them express themselves.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Any other thoughts?
May I speak?
Yes, please.
Yes, I think making connections with our students, for a long time we've been teaching online, and then we don't have this face-to-face interaction. So I think it's time for us getting back to campus, face-to-face. It is also important to have that kind of connections, that now we are having a face-to-face communication. We can tell stories, like in front of people, like closer to one another. It also gives a connection as well to their classmates, because I have my students from the year 2020. I'm teaching university students, by the way, and those students who have been studying online, they don't make that connections with their own classmates. I mean, because they are so used to having a class or team projects online. They don't meet one another face to face with a real time, like going to cafes. The social interactions that they have is so different during the pandemic, right? So now we are getting back to a normal situations. I think it's also important for them to have this kind of social lubrications, if I may say, and also so that I think it also support the the success of the learning, the success of the learning in the classrooms as well. Thank you. I think that's all.
Yeah, very, very nice, very insightful. And we have all these qualities. I'm so happy that we can identify them because we possess them, right? And we just need to remind ourselves each time we meet our students. From what you said just now, Nurenda, I believe community building is what you were trying to say, right? So
Yes.
yeah, I agree. I'm just going to share a couple more last slides before we move to the plenary session. And I would like to leave you with this quote from Bork 2003. And I'll give you a few moments to read this. So hopefully this was as useful as it was for me to share with you, because yes, it was a very small incident, but then it gave it gave me this idea that I do enough, I have enough, and I am enough, right? So I hope we all can leave this session by realizing that we all do enough, we have enough, and we are enough. Yes, Cian, I think you have a question. You raised your hand.
Yes, sorry, Neera. Would you
No,
please?
no, don't be sorry.
Would you please post or repost the last slide that you showed us? I would like to share that to my students as well, as I'm preparing future teachers for Indonesia.
Ah, all right.
So much.
What teachers? Is it ESL teachers?
EFL teachers.
Nice.
EFL or ESL, yeah.
Okay, okay. That's good to know.
Yes. All right, got it. Thank
You're
you.
most welcome. You will have access to these slides also. Yeah, you can watch the recording on the Center for English Language Studies Facebook page. It will take a week or so, but you will be able to see it on our Facebook page. And you can view all the recordings from other sessions also. So I hope this has been useful and a good learning experience. Thank you so much for joining me. And please don't forget that we still have plenary address by Prof. Stephen J. Hall. And I'm sure you have your links in your email, or you can scan the QR code here. So thank you so much and have a great rest of the weekend.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Neera.
You're most welcome. Thank you. Thank you all.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye, Sihong. Bye. Thanks. Oh, I'm not Prof. I'm just Neera. Thank you so much. Thanks, Anthony. I hope everything finished on time. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, yes. Thank you,
Should
Miss.
I'll just stop recording.
Yep.